The phone rang 22 times in 1 hour. I know because my daughter counted. She thought it was a game. I was 300 miles from home, sitting on a beach blanket on Tybee Island, watching my son dig a hole to China with a plastic shovel. My mother was calling from a resort parking lot in Hilton Head. My sister was next to her, screaming at a clerk who couldn't give them a room they hadn't paid for. But I didn't know that yet. All I knew was the ocean, the sand under my feet, and the fact that for the first time in 4 years I'd chosen my kids over my family's expectations. But that phone call, and the 21 that followed, those were just the end. Let me tell you how we got here. Welcome back to Calm Drama Stories. I'm Teresa, 33, a bookkeeper in a small town outside Atlanta. This is the story of how my sister convinced my mother to cut me and my kids from the family vacation, and what happened when they tried to pay for it with money that was already gone. If you've ever been the one who paid for everything and got nothing back, drop a comment. I worked at Dr. Calloway's veterinary clinic on Route 9, just past the Chevron station. Bookkeeper. $47,000 a year. Not glamorous, not terrible. I reconciled invoices, balanced payroll, tracked medication inventory, and made sure the numbers added up so Dr. Calloway could focus on the animals. I was good at it. Numbers don't lie, don't borrow money, don't guilt you at Thanksgiving. My apartment was 12 minutes from the clinic, 14 from Lily's elementary school, and 20 from Jake's preschool if I hit the light on Magnolia. Lily was 8. Jake was 5. Their father left when Jake was 6 months old, and the less said about that, the better. He's not part of this story. Every morning I was up at 5:30. Packed 2 lunches, peanut butter and honey for Lily, turkey and cheese for Jake because he'd gag at the sight of anything with seeds. Drive to school, drop off, get to the clinic by 7:45, pick up from aftercare at 5:15, home by 5:40, dinner, bath, books, bed, repeat. I kept a budget spreadsheet with 14 columns. I clipped coupons. I bought gas on Tuesdays because the Shell station ran a 6-cent discount. I put $150 a month into a travel savings account and pretended it didn't exist. I was good with money. Had to be. But being good with money in my family was less of a skill and more of a target. People don't resent you for being broke. They resent you for being careful, for having a savings account when they don't, for saying no when they need a yes. My father understood that. He was the only one who did. 4 years ago, my father sat in a hospital bed at Grady Memorial with tubes in his arms and a kidney that had quit on him. Robert Young, plumber. 40 years of crawling under houses and threading copper pipe. 62 years old and looked 80. His hands were rough as roof shingles. He'd built half the bathrooms in our county and never once sent a bill late. I was 29. Denise was 34. We stood on opposite sides of his bed like bookends that didn't match. He looked at me, not her. Teresa, I need you to handle things. He meant the finances, the life insurance, Mom's bills, the house, all of it. He pulled a manila envelope from under his pillow. He'd had the nurse bring it from his truck. Inside, the life insurance policy, Mom's bank login, a list of monthly bills in his handwriting. Keep the lights on for your mama, that's all I'm asking. I took the envelope. My hands shook. His didn't. Denise watched from the window. She didn't say anything in that room. She waited until we were in the elevator. Her face went the color of old chalk. She stared at the doors. Then she pulled out her phone, typed, and my pocket buzzed. I read it in the parking garage. Dad always liked you better. Enjoy your little promotion. I sat in my car for 20 minutes after that. I'd expected something like it. The hurt wasn't a surprise. The surprise was that Dad had asked me and not her, and we both knew why. Denise had bounced 3 checks to the electric company in 1 year. She'd borrowed $2,000 from Dad's retirement and never paid it back. He loved her. He just didn't trust her with a checkbook. Dad died 3 months later, a Tuesday in October. Rain so heavy the gutters overflowed at the funeral home. The life insurance paid $85,000. I sat at my kitchen table with a calculator and a legal pad and did what he asked. Medical debt from the hospital, 31,000. Roof repair on mom's house where the leak had rotted the bathroom subfloor, 8,000. New water heater because the old one was held together with duct tape and optimism, 2,400. Remaining balance after everything, 23,600. I put 22,000 in a savings account in mom's name. Emergency fund, untouchable. The rest covered the funeral flowers and the reception food because Denise said she'd handle the catering and then didn't. After that, I set up a $300 monthly transfer from my checking to mom's. Every month. First of the month. Like rent, except I was paying my mother's electricity, water, and grocery gap. $1,400 in Social Security only goes so far when your house is paid off, but your prescriptions aren't. Denise contributed nothing. I have my own family to worry about, she said. She had Kyle, a house with a pool, and a leased Lexus. Her family seemed worried about plenty. But here's what Denise did have: leverage. She had Madison and Tyler, and mom's two youngest grandchildren were the currency Denise spent freely. If you keep inviting Teresa on weekends, I won't bring the kids around. She said it like a weather report. Casual, matter of fact. Mom stopped inviting me on weekends. I found out because Lily asked why Grandma only wanted to see her on Wednesdays now. I didn't have a good answer. I just adjusted the schedule and kept sending the 300. Every summer since I was 9 years old, the young family went to the beach. Jekyll Island, Georgia. Same stretch of coast. Same rental cabins with the screened porches and the sand that got into everything. Dad would load the cooler at 4 in the morning. Mom would pack enough sunscreen for a small army. Denise and I would fight over the front seat for the first hour and then fall asleep against opposite windows for the next 3. It was the 1 week a year nobody argued about money. Dad paid for it all. When Dad died, the tradition should have died with him. But I couldn't let it go. Lily loved the tide pools. Jake was born in August, and his first trip was at 10 months old. He ate sand and laughed about it. So I kept it going. I booked the rooms. I organized the grocery run. I packed the car. And I paid. Last summer, 2 rooms at the Ocean Breeze Cottages on Jekyll. 4 nights. Total cost, $2,200. I paid $1,800. Denise Venmo'd me $400, 2 months late after I asked 3 times. Mom paid nothing. I didn't complain. I told myself it was for the kids. That's what you say when you're subsidizing people who don't say thank you. I had a travel savings account at my credit union. $150 a month, auto deposit. By that spring, it had $2,600 in it. I kept it separate from my checking. Clean. Untouched. Earmarked for one thing. That was last summer. This summer, my sister had a different plan. 3 months before summer, on a gray Thursday in March, Kyle Pratt stood in Denise's driveway doing the kid handoff. Kyle was 40, drove a black F-150 with a cracked taillight, and sold commercial flooring for a living. He and Denise had been divorced 2 years, the kind of divorce where they hated each other just enough to keep texting. Madison climbed out of his truck. Tyler followed with a backpack dragging on the pavement. Kyle leaned against the truck bed and said it like he'd been rehearsing. You know Teresa turned me down for that $5,000, right? He'd asked me for a loan the previous fall. Wanted to start a side business installing luxury vinyl in new builds. I said no. I'd said it politely, clearly, and once. He hadn't forgotten. Denise folded her arms. She turned you down because she's tight. Always has been. Kyle looked at the house. Your mom's still on Teresa's bank account, right? As an authorized user? Denise didn't answer right away. So? Kyle shrugged like it was simple math. Book the trip. Use that card. Teresa owes this family for all the years she's been sitting on Dad's money like it's hers. Denise hesitated. 3 seconds. I know, because Kyle told someone later, and that someone told Pam, and Pam told me. 3 seconds was all the conscience she had left. She does owe us, Denise said. Kyle grinned and got in his truck. I was at home that evening, helping Lily with her multiplication tables. I didn't know any of this. I wouldn't know for weeks. But the plan was already moving, and my name was on the receipt. Madison's 10th birthday. Mom's house. April. The dogwoods were blooming, and Lorraine had hung a paper banner across the front porch that said, "Happy Birthday, Madison," in purple glitter letters. I brought 24 cupcakes from the bakery on Elm, chocolate with vanilla frosting, Madison's favorite since she was 6. Lily carried the box. Jake carried a gift bag with a watercolor set inside. The party was fine for the first hour. Kids in the backyard. Lorraine grilling hot dogs. Pam Whitfield from church sat on the porch swing, drinking sweet tea and watching the kids run. Then Denise pulled me into the kitchen. She closed the door halfway, leaned against the counter, and crossed her arms the way she does when she's already decided something. "I need to tell you something about the summer trip." I waited. "We've decided to go to Hilton Head this year. Me, Mom, and the kids." I waited again. "Your kids aren't coming. My kids don't want them there." The words landed flat, like she'd practiced them. I looked past her, through the doorway into the living room. Mom was standing by the couch. She was holding a debit card between 2 fingers. My debit card. The emergency card I'd left with her 2 years ago for groceries or a doctor visit. "Why do you have my card, Mom?" Lorraine looked at Denise, then at me. Denise said she needed it for the booking. Pam Whitfield was in the living room. She saw everything, saw Denise's jaw tighten, saw Lorraine clutch that card, saw me look at both of them and do the math. I nodded once. "Keep it," I said. Then I called my kids, picked up the cupcake box, and left. The drive home was 14 minutes. Lily sat behind me, quiet. Jake hummed a song from a cartoon I couldn't name. 2 blocks from the apartment, Lily said. "Why did we leave early?" I looked at her in the rearview mirror, 8 years old with her father's brown eyes and my stubbornness. "Sometimes adults need space, baby." She accepted it. Kids do that. They take the answer you give them and file it somewhere, and you hope they don't pull it out later when it costs more to explain. I parked, got them inside, turned on a movie. Then I sat on my bed with my phone and opened my banking app. A month earlier, I'd noticed a $400 withdrawal from my checking account. I'd called Mom. She said she'd used the wrong card at the pharmacy. "I'll pay you back." I'd said okay, but I checked further. 3 more withdrawals over the previous 2 months. $80 at a gas station, $120 at Target, $65 at a restaurant I'd never been to. That was 2 weeks before the birthday party. I'd called the bank the next morning. I wanted to remove the authorized user. The woman on the phone said I needed both parties present or a notarized written request, 7 to 10 business days. I didn't have 7 to 10 days of patience, so the next morning I drove to a different credit union, the one on Peachtree, across from the tire shop. Opened a new checking account and a new savings account. Transferred everything. $2,600 from savings, $1,400 from checking. The old account sat there with $12 in it. $12 and a debit card in my mother's hand. I told no one. Here's what I've learned about money and family. The moment someone holds your bank card like they own it, they're not keeping it safe. They're keeping you close. If you've ever had to move your money to move on, hit that like button, because this story is just getting started. 2 weeks later, Sunday dinner at Mom's. Fried chicken, green beans from a can, and rolls from a tube. Denise was in a mood I recognized, the one where she'd gotten something she wanted and needed everyone to know. She pulled out her phone before we'd even cleared the plates. "Look at this." She turned the screen toward Mom. Hilton Head, a resort with white balconies and a turquoise pool and palm trees that looked too perfect to be real. 4 nights. Ocean view. Kids club included. $3,200 total. She scrolled through the photos like she was selling it. There's a seafood buffet on the second night. And a dolphin tour. Mom smiled. "That looks beautiful, honey." Denise set the phone down and looked across the table at me. The look was something between pity and satisfaction, the way a cat looks at a bird on the other side of a window. "You can't afford it anyway." She laughed. One short, sharp breath through her nose. Jake was sitting next to me, fork in his mashed potatoes. He looked up. "Are we going to the beach too, Mommy?" The table went quiet. Lily stared at her plate. Mom looked at her hands. Denise took a drink of her tea, like nothing had happened. "We'll have our own adventure, buddy," I said. I squeezed his shoulder. He went back to his potatoes. I didn't respond to Denise. Didn't give her the argument she wanted. I washed the dishes, dried them, stacked them in the cabinet the way Mom liked. Big plates on the bottom, small plates on top. Then I took my kids home. In the car, at a red light on Sycamore, I opened my phone and typed into the search bar, Savannah Beach Vacation Family. 11:30 at night. Lily and Jake asleep in their rooms. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop and a cup of coffee that had gone cold an hour ago. Tybee Island, 20 minutes east of Savannah. I'd never been, but the pictures looked like the kind of place Dad would have picked. Not fancy, not trying to impress anyone, just sand and water and a porch to sit on. The Tybee Island Inn had a room available for the last week of June, $89 a night. Ocean view, which on Tybee meant you could see a sliver of blue between two other buildings, and that was enough. 4 nights, $356 for the room. I pulled up a legal pad and ran the numbers the way I ran everything, line by line. Room, $356. Gas round trip, about 240 miles each way. 200 even. Food for 3, 4 days. Cooking most meals in the kitchenette, 300. Activities. Kayak rental, ice cream, maybe a dolphin tour if Jake asked nicely, 150. Total, $1,006. My new account had 2,600. I booked it. The confirmation email arrived 12 seconds later. I screenshotted it and saved it to a folder on my phone called Summer. I grabbed a sticky note and wrote just beach on it, stuck it on the fridge. No dates, no location, no details. I knew how information traveled in my family. Lily found the note the next morning while I poured cereal. "Beach? Are we going?" I smiled. First real smile in weeks. "It's a surprise." I didn't learn the full shape of Denise's plan until after everything fell apart. People talk. Kyle talked to a buddy at the gym. That buddy's wife worked with Pam at the church office. And Pam told me, sitting on her porch 2 months later with lemonade and nothing to gain from lying. Here's what happened behind the curtain. Denise booked the Hilton Head Resort in early April, the oceanfront Palmetto Suites. 2 adjoining rooms. Total cost, $3,200. She put $800 on her own credit card as the deposit. The remaining $2,400 was due 3 days before check-in. She had no plan to pay it herself. "Teresa's card will cover the rest," she told Mom over the phone. "She owes us for years of not pulling her weight." Lorraine paused. I imagine she paused the way she always does, pressing her lips together, looking at the floor, wanting to object, but not wanting the fight. "Are you sure that's right?" she asked. Denise's voice was steady. "She left the card with you. That's permission enough." It wasn't permission. Leaving an emergency card with your elderly mother in case she needs gas money is not a blank check for a resort vacation. But Denise had already decided what the card meant, and Mom had already decided not to argue. Kyle texted Denise that night. "Smart move. She'll never know until it's done." Denise replied with a thumbs-up emoji. $2,400. 3 days before check-in. Charged to a debit card connected to an account with $12 in it. They didn't know that yet, but I did. May was busy at the clinic. Allergy season meant every dog in the county was scratching itself raw, and Dr. Calloway was booked solid through June. I liked it busy. Busy meant the hours moved. Busy meant I didn't check my phone. I was reconciling a stack of invoices for flea medication when Dr. Calloway leaned against my doorframe. She was 53, silver-haired, and had the calm energy of someone who'd spent 30 years talking people through putting their pets down. "You seem lighter lately," she said. I looked up from the spreadsheet. "Just looking forward to summer." She nodded and went back to exam room 2. Lighter. That was the right word. I felt like I'd set down a suitcase I'd been carrying so long I forgot it was there. At 5:15, I pulled up to the aftercare building. Lily climbed in first. Jake followed, already talking about a caterpillar he'd found on the playground. 3 blocks from home, Lily got quiet. That's how I knew something was wrong. Lily got quiet the way a lake goes still before weather. Cousin Madison said we can't go on the trip because we're not real family. I stopped at the sign on Oak Street, held the brake a beat too long. Who told Madison that? Lily picked at the strap on her backpack. Aunt Denise. I gripped the steering wheel. 3 seconds. Counted them by the tick of the turn signal. Lily, you are my family, the realest family I know, and we're going on our own trip. Jake's head popped up from the back seat. With dolphins? I looked at him in the mirror. Maybe with dolphins. What Denise told her daughter about mine. That was the line. You cross it, and there's no polite way back. That night, after bedtime stories and teeth brushing and Jake asking for water twice, I sat on the couch with my phone and opened the banking app. The auto transfer to Mom's account stared at me from the recurring payments screen. $300. First of every month. For 4 years. That was roughly $14,400. I'd kept Mom's lights on, her prescriptions filled, her groceries stocked, while Denise drove a leased Lexus and told my daughter she wasn't real family. I pressed cancel. A pop-up asked if I was sure. I pressed confirm. My hands were steady. Mom had $1,400 a month in Social Security. She had the $22,000 in savings I'd set up from Dad's insurance. She was fine. Not comfortable the way she'd been with my $300 on top, but fine. Denise lived 10 minutes away. Denise could buy the groceries for once. I wrote an email. Short. Mom, I've adjusted my finances. The monthly transfer won't continue. I love you. Sent it at 9:12 p.m. Lorraine called at 9:14. What am I supposed to do? Her voice had that pitch, the one between confusion and accusation. You have savings, Mom. And Denise lives 10 minutes away. Denise has her own expenses. So do I. Silence. The kind that fills a phone line like water fills a crack. I can't believe you'd do this to me. I'm not doing anything to you, Mom. I'm just not doing it for you anymore. She hung up. 20 minutes later, Denise texted, What did you do? Mom is crying. I read it. Set the phone on the counter, screen down, washed the dinner dishes, folded a load of towels, went to bed, slept better than I had in months. A week before the trip, I pulled the summer clothes out of the hall closet. Lily had outgrown last year's shorts. Jake's swim trunks still fit but barely. On the top shelf, behind a box of winter hats and a plastic bin of ornaments, I found a shoebox. Brown, dusty. Red Wing printed on the side, Dad's boot brand. Inside, his union card. A faded photo of him and Mom at Jekyll Island, 1988. A receipt for copper fittings. And an envelope. White. My name in his handwriting. Block letters, all caps, the way plumbers write on work orders. I'd forgotten about it. He'd given it to me at the hospital, tucked inside the manila envelope with the insurance papers. I'd been too raw to open it then. Too busy after. Too tired in between. I sat on the closet floor with my knees up and tore the flap. One sheet of notebook paper. College ruled, his handwriting filling half the page. Teresa, you're the one who keeps her word. Don't let anyone turn your kindness into a key to your wallet. If the day comes when helping them hurts you, stop. You already kept the lights on long enough. Take your babies to the beach. Dad. 7 sentences. No lecture, no guilt. Just a plumber who knew his daughters and loved them differently because they were different. I folded the letter along its original creases, slid it into my wallet, behind my driver's license, where I'd feel it every time I reached for a card. The closet smelled like dust and old leather. I sat there for a while, not crying, just breathing. Then I got up and started packing. Walmart on a Tuesday evening, Jake in the cart, Lily walking beside me, already too old for the cart but not too old to ride on the end of it when she thought I wasn't looking. Swimsuits. I had a budget, $40. Jake found shark goggles immediately. Gray rubber with teeth molded around the eyepieces, $5.97. Non-negotiable. Lily took longer. She held up a pink one-piece with starfish on the straps. This one, $14. I checked the seams. Solid. That one, 2 pairs of flip-flops, a bottle of spray sunscreen, and a mesh beach bag from the clearance bin. Total, $34.97. Under budget by $5.03. Back home, I packed everything in a duffel bag and put it in the back of the closet, behind the winter coats. Not hidden exactly, just not visible. My family had a way of dropping by unannounced, Mom with a casserole, Denise with a demand, and I didn't need questions I wasn't ready to answer. While I zipped the bag, I heard Denise's voice in my head, clear as a phone call. Your kids aren't coming. My kids don't want them there. I stood in the closet and let it sit. Let the words be what they were. Not a verdict. Just a sentence spoken by a person who confused cruelty with control. From the bathroom I heard Lily laughing. She'd found the shark goggles in Jake's bag and was wearing them in the mirror, making faces. Jake was trying to get them back. Half mad, half giggling. My kids are coming, I thought. Just not where you think. 1 week before check-in. The family group text was still active, me, Denise, and Mom. Denise hadn't bothered to remove me, which was either laziness or something meaner. My phone buzzed during lunch at the clinic. Denise had sent a photo. The resort pool, lit up at night, water glowing blue-green like a movie set. Then another, the ocean view from the balcony. Then a screenshot of a seafood restaurant with cloth napkins and prices that started at $28 for an appetizer. Then a message. Mom, I booked the seafood dinner cruise too, $480, it'll be on the same card. The same card. My old card. I read it twice to make sure I understood. Then I opened my banking app and checked the old account. $12.34. The same $12.34 that had been sitting there since March. Denise was about to charge a $480 dinner cruise to an account that couldn't buy a tank of gas. I closed the app. Took a bite of my sandwich. Turkey on wheat. Same as every Tuesday. I didn't reply to the group text. Didn't react to the photos. Didn't send a warning. Some people only learn from the bill. At 2 o'clock, Dr. Calloway passed my desk on the way to surgery. A golden retriever who'd swallowed a sock. She paused. You're smiling at your phone. Good news? I looked up. Something like that. She raised an eyebrow and kept walking. I put my phone in the drawer and went back to the payroll spreadsheet. Column B wasn't balancing. I found the error in 6 minutes. Numbers I could fix. Family I could not. Kyle picked up the kids that Friday evening. Madison ran down the driveway before his truck fully stopped. Daddy, we're going to Hilton Head. She was bouncing, 10 years old and already her mother's volume. Kyle lifted her into the truck bed for fun, then set her down. Your mom's got it all figured out. Tyler followed, quieter, carrying a stuffed dinosaur he was probably too old for but wouldn't give up. Once both kids were buckled upstairs in their rooms grabbing overnight bags, Kyle leaned against the porch railing. Denise stood in the doorway with her arms crossed. You sure Teresa's card has enough? Kyle asked. Denise didn't blink. She puts $150 a month in there like clockwork. At least $2,000 by now. Kyle did the math with his lips moving slightly. And your mom has the card? Denise nodded. Teresa told her to keep it. Kyle grinned. The grin of a man who thinks cleverness and theft are the same thing. Then it's already paid for. The kids came back down with their bags. Kyle loaded them into the truck and drove off. Denise stood in the doorway until the taillights disappeared. Then she went inside. Alone. I found this part out months later, from someone who heard it from Kyle at a cookout. But there's a detail that sticks with me. Denise sat at the kitchen counter after Kyle left and picked up her phone. My contact photo. Me and Lily, laughing, at Jekyll Island 2 summers ago. Sand on our knees, Lily's front teeth missing. Denise's thumb hovered over the call button. 5 seconds. Then she put the phone down. She could have called, asked, explained. She didn't. 3 days before check-in. A Tuesday. I was at work when it happened, but I can tell you exactly how it went, because Lorraine told Pam every detail, and Pam has the kind of memory that doesn't drop a syllable. The Oceanfront Palmetto Suites ran the remaining charge at 10 a.m., $2,400 to the debit card on file. Declined. Insufficient funds. The resort sent an automated email to the address on the reservation, Denise's Gmail. Subject line: payment declined. Action required. Body: the charge of $2,400 to the card ending in 7741 was declined. Please provide an alternative payment method within 48 hours or the reservation will be canceled. Please note, the $800 deposit is non-refundable. Denise called Mom at 10:16. Teresa's card was declined. Lorraine's voice was confused, the way it gets when something doesn't match the script she was handed. The card is right here, in my purse. Try it at an ATM, Denise said. So Lorraine drove to the Wells Fargo on Main Street, parked crooked, walked inside to the ATM, inserted the card, checked the balance, $12.34. She called Denise from the bank lobby. There's only $12. The pause on the other end lasted long enough for Lorraine to check twice. That's impossible, Denise said. She puts money in every month. Well, it's not there now. Lorraine's voice was small. Maybe she moved it. Another pause. Then Denise said, I'm calling her. She did. I was at my desk at the clinic, entering a payment for a cat's dental cleaning. I saw the caller ID. Denise. I pressed decline, set the phone face down, finished the entry. Column B balanced on the first try. She spent months planning around my money that wasn't hers to begin with. And now the clock was ticking. 48 hours. If you've ever watched someone try to spend what they didn't earn, you know the feeling. Like and subscribe, because what Denise did next, that's the part I didn't see coming. 48 hours. That's what the email said. Denise sat at her kitchen table. I'm picturing it the way Pam described it, though I wasn't there, and opened her credit card app. Limit: $3,000. Balance: $1,800. Available credit: $1,200. She needed $2,400. She was short by half. She called Kyle first. Can you lend me $1,200? Kyle laughed. Not the cruel laugh. The genuinely surprised one. I don't have that kind of cash lying around. Ask your mom. So she asked Mom. Lorraine stared at the wall of her living room, the one with Dad's portrait still hanging above the TV. My savings are for emergencies. Denise's voice went sharp. This is an emergency. It's a vacation, Denise. But Lorraine went to the bank anyway. She withdrew $600 from the account I'd set up for her. The teller asked if she wanted a cashier's check or cash. Cash. She drove it to Denise's house in an envelope. Denise scraped another $600 from her credit card, the last of her available credit. She was now maxed out at $3,000. She sent $1,200 to the resort through the payment portal, but $1,200 wasn't $2,400. She was still short $1,200, and the clock was at 31 hours. She called me again. I was giving Jake a bath, rubber shark on the edge of the tub, bubbles up to his chin. My phone lit up on the counter. Denise. I watched it ring. Didn't touch it. It went to voicemail. A text arrived 2 minutes later. I know you moved your money. We need to talk. I read it. Set the phone down. Picked up the shark book from the shelf. Read Jake 3 chapters. He fell asleep at the part about the whale. The next evening, a Wednesday, headlights swept across my living room curtains at 8:40. A car door slammed. I knew before the knock. Denise stood on my welcome mat in yoga pants and a wrinkled t-shirt, mascara smudged under one eye. She looked like she hadn't slept. I opened the door but didn't step back. My body filled the frame. What did you do with the money? She said it the way people ask when they already know the answer, but want you to feel guilty for it. My money? I kept my voice even. It's in my account. Just not the one you were planning to steal from. Her chin jerked like I'd flicked her. Steal? Mom is an authorized user. That's not stealing. Then why didn't you ask me? Silence. The porch light buzzed. A moth bounced off it twice. We need that money, Denise said. The kids are counting on it. Your kids, I said. Not mine. You made that clear. She shifted weight to her other foot, looked past me into the apartment like she was calculating whether to push through. Then she tried a different voice. Softer. The one she used when she wanted something and force hadn't worked. I'm sorry about what I said. Can you help? For Mom? I let the apology sit in the air like a bad check. You told my daughter she wasn't real family. We're done here. I stepped back, closed the door, turned the deadbolt. The click was loud enough for her to hear. Through the window, I saw her stand on the mat for 10 seconds. She kicked it sideways. The mat, the one Lily had picked out at Target that said, "Welcome," in yellow letters. Then she walked to her car and drove away. 9:15 the next morning. I was at the clinic sorting a stack of vendor invoices when the office phone rang. The clinic line, not my cell. The number on the display was Mom's landline. She knew I'd have to answer. You can't ignore a ringing phone at a vet clinic because it might be an emergency about someone's dog. Teresa, can't you just put the money back, for the family? I leaned back in my chair. Through the glass partition, I could see Dr. Calloway examining a tabby cat with an ear infection. The cat looked calmer than I felt. Mom, you held my card like it was yours. You told me my kids weren't welcome. That was Denise's idea. I just went along. That's the problem, Mom. You always just go along. I heard her breath catch. I didn't mean for it to get like this. But it did. She started crying. I know my mother's cries. There's the real one, which is quiet, and the performance one, which involves sniffling at precise intervals. This was the performance. I waited. Didn't fill the silence. Didn't apologize. Didn't offer a solution. That's new for me. Old Teresa would have folded by now, would have said, "Let me see what I can do," and then transferred $500 and felt sick about it for a week. Your father would be so disappointed in you, she said. That was the card she'd been saving. The ace. The one that was supposed to make me crumble. Dad told me to stop when helping started hurting, I said. I stopped. The line went dead. I set the phone in the cradle, finished the invoices, fed the clinic cat her lunch. Wet food, chicken flavor, 3:30 p.m. like always. After work that day, I stopped at the Kroger for milk, bread, and bananas. Aisle 3, near the cereal. Pam Whitfield stood comparing 2 boxes of oatmeal like one of them owed her money. She looked up when my cart squeaked past. Teresa. She set both boxes down. I heard about the trip. I stopped the cart. Mom told you? Lorraine asked me to talk to you. I told her no. Pam folded her arms. Not the aggressive kind, the settled kind. The kind that means a person is about to say something true and wants you to hold still for it. I was at Madison's birthday. I saw Denise take you to the kitchen. I saw your mother holding that card. Teresa, you don't owe anyone anything. I looked at the cereal boxes. Store brand. 2 for $5. I know, I said. Your daddy would say the same. She said it simply. No speech, no grand wisdom. Pam had known my father for 30 years. They'd served on the church building committee together. He'd fixed her bathroom sink twice and wouldn't take money for it. She didn't need to explain what she meant. I nodded. Pam reached over and squeezed my hand. Quick. Firm. The way you'd squeeze someone's hand to pull them across a ditch. Then she picked up the cheaper oatmeal and put it in her cart. Have a good summer, honey. That was it. No therapy session, no 12-step reconciliation plan. Just a woman in a grocery store who saw what happened and said so. I drove home, parked, sat in the car for a minute with the engine off. Then I went inside and told myself, pack the car tonight, leave tomorrow. 9 p.m. Kids asleep. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the drip of the kitchen faucet I kept meaning to fix. I loaded the car in 4 trips. Cooler on the back seat floor, turkey sandwiches in foil, juice boxes, grapes in a Ziploc, string cheese for the road, duffel bags in the trunk, beach towels, the big striped ones from the linen closet, Jake's shark goggles in a plastic bag on top of everything so he could see them first thing. I checked the reservation one more time. Tybee Island Inn, Room 6, Ocean View. Check-in 3 p.m. Confirmation numbers saved in my phone and written on a sticky note in my wallet because I don't trust technology when it matters. I set my alarm for 5 a.m. Texted Dr. Calloway. Taking Friday off as planned. 3 dots. Then. Have the best time. You deserve it. I locked the front door. Poured a glass of lemonade from the pitcher Lily and I had made on Sunday. Sat on the porch steps. The street was quiet. Mr. Henderson's porch light across the road. A sprinkler clicking somewhere. The kind of silence that doesn't ask anything from you. 4 missed calls from Denise. 2 from Mom. I looked at the notifications and let them sit. Didn't listen to the voicemails. Didn't read the texts. Tomorrow I'd be driving south with my windows down and my kids singing off-key to the radio, and none of those messages would matter. I opened my wallet. Dad's letter was there, folded behind my license. I didn't read it. Didn't need to. I knew what it said. I finished the lemonade and went to bed. Same day, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 250 miles north. This is the part I pieced together from Pam, from Lorraine herself weeks later, and from Madison, who told Lily everything at a playdate in August. Denise's SUV pulled into the oceanfront Palmetto Suites parking lot after a 4-hour drive. Lorraine in the passenger seat, knees stiff from sitting. Madison and Tyler in the back, faces pressed to the windows, already shouting about the pool. Denise walked into the lobby with sunglasses on her head and a rolling suitcase behind her. The front desk clerk was a young woman in a blue polo. She typed Denise's name. Typed it again. Frowned. I'm showing a remaining balance of $2,400. A partial payment of $1,200 was received yesterday, but the system requires full payment at check-in. You're still short $1,200. Denise pulled out her credit card. The one that was already at its $3,000 limit. She slid it across the counter like it might work if she looked confident enough. The clerk swiped it. Waited. I'm sorry, ma'am. Declined. Denise stared at the screen as if staring could change the number. Lorraine sat in a lobby chair, hands in her lap. I don't have any more money, she said to no one in particular. Madison appeared at Denise's elbow. Mom, what's happening? Where's our room? Not now, Madison. Denise grabbed Lorraine's arm and pulled her toward the hallway, past the brochure rack and the potted fern. Call Teresa, she said. Now. Lorraine took out her phone. Her hands were shaking. The real kind, not the performance kind. She dialed my number. Tybee Island. We'd arrived at noon. Room 6 was small and clean and smelled like salt air and lemon cleaner. 2 beds, a kitchenette with a hot plate and a mini fridge, a screen door that opened onto a narrow porch. Jake had his shoes off before I finished unloading the car. Lily was already in her starfish swimsuit, towel over her shoulder, standing at the door like a tiny, impatient lifeguard. By 1 o'clock we were on the beach. Lily ran toward the waves, ankles in the foam, laughing the way kids laugh when the ocean is new every time. Jake dropped to his knees and started digging. He was 5 and had a plan for that hole. I sat on the blanket, sun on my arms, breeze off the water. Sand already in places sand shouldn't be. This is it, I thought. This is the trip. My phone rang at 2:15. I reached into the beach bag. Mom. I looked at the screen. Looked at Lily, waist deep now, jumping over a wave. Looked at Jake, tongue out, digging. I pressed decline. It rang again at 2:16. Declined. 2:17. Declined. Jake looked up, sand on his eyebrows. Mommy, who keeps calling? I slid the phone to the bottom of the beach bag, screen down. Nobody important right now. Let's find those dolphins. He dropped the shovel and ran toward the water. I followed. The phone kept buzzing in the bag. The ocean drowned it out. 22 calls in the next hour. I didn't answer a single one. I wasn't angry. I wasn't making a point. I was standing in the Atlantic Ocean holding my son's hand while he looked for dolphins, and that was more important than anything happening in a parking lot 200 miles north. Back at the oceanfront Palmetto Suites, 22 calls went unanswered. I know this because my phone logged everyone, and because Lorraine described the lobby scene to Pam in enough detail to fill a court transcript. Denise lost it. Not the quiet kind of anger, the kind that clears a room. She turned on the front desk clerk like the clerk had personally emptied the bank account. She did this on purpose. She moved the money because she's vindictive. Her voice bounced off the marble floor and the high ceiling and the tasteful watercolor paintings of sandpipers. The clerk, to her credit, kept her face neutral. "Ma'am, please lower your voice." Other families in the lobby turned to look. A man in a golf shirt pulled his kids closer. A woman with a roller bag stopped mid-step and stared. Madison stood by the potted fern, crying. Not loud. The quiet, embarrassed kind, where a 10-year-old understands that her mother is making a scene and there's nothing she can do about it. Tyler pulled on Lorraine's sleeve. "Grandma, I want to go." I wasn't there for any of this. I was 200 miles south, building a sandcastle with a 5-year-old who kept calling it a shark house. But when Pam told me what Denise screamed in that lobby, about how I was vindictive, about how I'd ruined everything, all I could think was Denise's own voice at Sunday dinner, sliding that phone across the table, smirking. She couldn't afford it. The woman who told me I couldn't afford it was standing in a resort lobby, maxed out and screaming, and she couldn't afford the vacation she'd tried to charge to my bank account. Denise tried Kyle. No answer. She tried him twice. Voicemail both times. The manager appeared, a tall man in a navy blazer. "I'll have to ask you to step outside." They walked out. All 4 of them. Through the automatic doors, past the valet stand, into the parking lot. No room. $800 in deposit gone. Credit maxed. Gas tank at half. The parking lot at the Palmetto Suites was freshly paved and 95 degrees. Heat rose off the asphalt in waves you could see. Lorraine lowered herself onto a concrete bench near the handicap spaces. She looked 10 years older than 62. Her purse sat on her lap. Inside it, the debit card to an account with $12, her own wallet, lighter by $600, and her phone, still showing 22 unanswered calls to my number. "Who's paying for this?" Her voice was small, not accusing, not angry, just tired. The voice of a woman who'd driven 4 hours to discover that the bill she'd been promised was not covered at all. Denise paced by the SUV. Teresa was supposed to. Teresa didn't agree to pay. Lorraine cut her off. First time I'd heard of her doing that in years. I asked her. She said no. You told me she'd never notice. Denise stopped pacing. You went along with it? Because you said you'd stop bringing the kids to my house if I didn't. There it was. The truth. Not in a courtroom or a family meeting or a therapist's office, in a resort parking lot in Hilton Head, South Carolina, with the sound of someone else's kids splashing in a pool on the other side of the fence. Madison and Tyler sat in the back seat of the SUV with the doors open. Lorraine had bought them crackers and a Gatorade from the gas station on the way in. Madison was eating hers slowly. Tyler wasn't eating. I want to go home, Madison said. Tyler looked at Lorraine through the open door. I want Aunt Teresa. Denise spun around. Don't you dare say her name. Tyler flinched. Lorraine closed her eyes. Nobody moved for a full minute. 4 hours back to Georgia. Lorraine told Pam that nobody spoke for the first hour. Not a word. Just the highway and the hum of tires and the air conditioning set too cold because Denise was angry, and angry, people blast the AC like it's the other person's fault they're sweating. Madison sat behind Lorraine playing a game on Lorraine's phone. Tyler fell asleep with his head against the window, the stuffed dinosaur tucked under his chin. Somewhere around exit 109 on I-95, Madison stopped playing the game. She'd opened Instagram. She turned the phone toward Lorraine. "Grandma, Lily and Jake are at the beach. Look." The photo was simple. Lily and Jake on Tybee Island, kneeling beside a lopsided sandcastle. Jake wearing his shark goggles pushed up on his forehead. Lily grinning, sandy arms, squinting in the sun. I'd posted it an hour earlier. Caption: "Beach day with my two favorites." Lorraine stared at the screen. Her grandchildren. On a beach. Laughing. Without her. She handed the phone back without a word. 40 minutes later, Tyler woke up. He rubbed his eyes and looked out the window at the pine trees blurring past. "Mom, are Lily and Jake at the beach? Why couldn't we go with them?" The car went quiet again. And I think about Denise's words, the ones she said in Mom's kitchen at Madison's birthday, the ones she said like she was reading a grocery list. "Your kids aren't coming. My kids don't want them there." Now it was Tyler asking why he couldn't go with Lily and Jake. Her own son, asking the question her words had created. Lorraine turned in her seat. "Denise, what have we done?" Denise gripped the wheel. "Don't start, Mom." Tybee Island. Sunset. The sky turned the color of peach skin, then copper, then a deep purple gray that made the ocean look like metal. I sat on the beach blanket with my back against the low dune wall. Lily had fallen asleep on my lap, her hair still damp, sand on her cheek. Jake was 20 feet away, still digging. The kid had been digging all day. Different holes, different purposes. This last one was, according to him, a trap for crabs. No crabs had fallen for it. I pulled out my phone. 22 missed calls from Mom, 14 from Denise, 3 voicemails. I pressed play on the first one. Lorraine's voice, cracked and hoarse. "Teresa, the trip fell apart. We drove all the way there for nothing. Denise is beside herself. The deposit is gone. Please call me back. Please." I listened to the whole thing. 38 seconds. Then I put the phone back in the beach bag and zipped it shut. I didn't call back. I didn't want them to suffer. I wasn't proving a point. There was nothing I could say that would fix what they'd done, and nothing they could say that would undo how they'd planned it. Some conversations don't need to happen on schedule. They need to happen when both people are ready, and I wasn't ready. Not yet. "Mommy, I found a shell." Jake ran toward me, fist raised like a trophy. He opened his hand. A sand dollar. Broken. Split right down the middle, one half bigger than the other. "Is it still good if it's broken?" I took it from him. Ran my thumb over the rough edge. "The best ones always are, buddy." He grinned and ran back to his crab trap. I looked at the ocean. Dad's letter in my wallet. "Take your babies to the beach." I did. Back in Georgia, 10 p.m. Denise's house. Madison and Tyler in bed, exhausted from a day of driving to nowhere and back. Denise sat at the kitchen counter with a glass of wine she couldn't afford, staring at her phone. She called Kyle. He answered on the 4th ring. "Your brilliant plan cost me $800 and a vacation," she said. Kyle was quiet for a second. "My plan? You booked a resort you couldn't afford. You told me to use her card. I suggested it. You did it. There's a difference." "There is no difference, Kyle. I didn't tell you to max out your credit card on a seafood cruise." Denise set down the wine glass hard enough to slosh. "This is Teresa's fault." Kyle paused. "The long kind. The kind that means a person is about to say something honest and doesn't care if it lands wrong. Is it, though?" He hung up. Denise sat in the kitchen alone. No resort, no vacation, no deposit. Credit card at 0 available. 600 from Mom she'd have to pay back or pretend didn't exist. And nobody left to blame who'd accept it. She looked at the fridge. Madison's drawings held up by magnets. A photo of all 4 kids, Madison, Tyler, Lily, Jake, at Jekyll Island 2 years ago. Everybody smiling. Everybody together. She turned the photo face down and finished her wine. We came home on a Sunday. Tan. Tired. Happy. Jake told Dr. Calloway about the dolphin on Monday morning before I'd even clocked in. It came up right next to the kayak. He held his arms out to show the distance, which in his telling shrank from 10 feet to 10 inches. Dr. Calloway listened like it was the most important thing she'd heard all week. She was good at that. Tuesday afternoon, my phone rang. Mom. I sat in my car in the clinic parking lot, windows down, and answered. Can we talk? Lorraine said. I want to apologize. I turned the key back so the radio went off. You can talk, Mom. I'm listening. I shouldn't have let Denise decide. And the card? I didn't know she was going to charge that much. But you knew she was going to charge something. Silence. A crow landed on the dumpster across the lot, took off again. Mom, I love you, but from now on, my finances are mine. No shared accounts, no cards at your house, no emergency access. You want to see Lily and Jake, you're welcome. Any Sunday. But I'm not funding plans that don't include me. I heard her breathing. Shallow. Not crying. Just processing. Okay, she said. Quiet. Not happy. Not fighting. Just hearing. Maybe for the first time. And Mom? I'm not angry, I'm just done being the wallet. She let that sit. I understand, she said, though I don't think she fully did. But understanding isn't a switch. It's a slow thing, like water wearing a groove in stone. We said goodbye. I went back inside, fed the clinic cat, finished the monthly report, picked up my kids at 5:15 like always. Denise didn't call. Not that week. Not the next. 2 full weeks of silence, which was its own kind of answer. Lorraine mentioned it on a Wednesday. Denise said she'll never forgive you for ruining the vacation. I was folding laundry with the phone on speaker. Jake was lining up toy cars on the coffee table. She'll have to forgive herself first, I said. Lorraine didn't respond to that. 3 weeks after Hilton Head, the town potluck at the community center. Paper plates, folding tables, the smell of pulled pork and coleslaw and too many casseroles. I walked in with Lily and Jake and a bowl of potato salad. Denise was across the room near the dessert table. We made eye contact. Hers slid away first. She looked at her plate. I got in the food line. That was it. No confrontation. No speech. Life isn't a courtroom. Sometimes you just stand on opposite sides of a room and eat barbecue. Madison broke away from Denise's table and ran up to me. Aunt Teresa, can Lily come play? She was 10, and whatever her mother had told her about real family hadn't stuck the way Denise wanted it to. Of course, sweetie, anytime. Madison grinned and grabbed Lily's hand and they disappeared toward the playground. Denise watched from across the room, said nothing. Left early, before the pie was served. I stayed, ate potato salad, talked to Pam about the leak in Dr. Calloway's clinic roof, drove home, gave Jake a bath, read Lily 2 chapters. Normal Tuesday, the best kind. If someone needs your bank card to keep you in the family, you were never in the family, you were funding it. And that's where I'll leave it. A letter from a plumber who knew his daughter's worth. 22 unanswered calls, a broken sand dollar that was still good enough. If you've ever moved your money to move on, or said no to someone who thought your kindness was a subscription, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Comment your story, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.